I'm Cameron, 35, and if you ever thought the toilet paper biz was for the soft-hearted, think again. My brother, Alex, and I inherited this empire of necessity from our folks. They left us with more than just machines and inventory, they left us a legacy we're hell-bent on growing. I run our flagship operation in one of the country's bustling metropolises, while Alex handles another branch a few cities over. We're a duo, alright, but miles and responsibilities keep us apart most times. Yet, when Alex swings by, it's not just figures and forecasts we dive into, we take a moment to remember where it all started, with our folks watching over us, hopefully tossing us a nod of approval from wherever they are. The branch was humming along just fine with me at the helm and my deputy, John, by my side. John's one of those rare gems who doesn't just get the job done, he gets me. Cameron, this idea's gonna launch us to the moon, he'd say with that grin, and I'd fire back. Let's not plan the parade just yet. We were in sync, pushing limits and breaking records. Then Mark strolled into our world, fresh-faced and sharp as a tack, our new sales director. The man had a way with words that could convince you the sky was green and not blue. It wasn't long before his professional courting turned personal, and he laid it on me straight, no chaser. Cameron, you and I, we're not just making waves here. We're starting tsunamis. How about we make this a permanent partnership? He said, his gaze steady, a challenge in his eyes. I laughed, thinking he was joking. Marry you? You sure know how to spring a surprise, Mark. What's next, running for president? Hey, I'm serious, he countered, that ever-confident smirk playing on his lips. We're dynamite together. Let's not waste what we've got. It was unconventional, to say the least, but then again, so was I. Alright, Mark, you've got yourself a deal, I said, shaking his hand, as if we were closing another business deal. That handshake sealed more than just our personal future, it felt like a new chapter for the business too. We moved into a sprawling house, the kind you see in magazines and think, no one actually lives like that. But we did, surrounded by luxury, our days filled with both love and the relentless pursuit of success. Life was good, better than I'd ever imagined. A year into our whirlwind of a life, the unexpected news dropped, I was pregnant. Over the moon, I was, bursting with a kind of joy you read about but never truly understand until it hits you. Mark, ever the strategist, laid out a new plan. Cam, listen, this kid deserves all of you. How about you take a step back from the hustle? Just for a bit. His words hit me sideways. Step back? And do what, Mark? Sit around talking to my belly? He chuckled, that smooth operator. Not just that. You'll prep for the MVP's arrival. It's temporary. I'll keep you in the loop on everything, promise. Something about the way he said it, with that calm certainty, made me cave. Alright, but you better not turn my branch into a circus, I said, half joking, half serious. Mark took over the reins at the branch, and I embraced the pregnancy journey, but it wasn't all smooth sailing. The clinics became my second home, every visit, every checkup adding to the anxiety. 6 months down the line, moving around got tougher. My body wasn't mine anymore, and even driving felt like a marathon effort. Guess it's just you and me, little one, I'd say, patting my belly, settling into this new, slower pace of life. But Mark, his hours got crazier. Nights at the office turned into routine, his voice over the phone always laced with exhaustion. Babe, it's slammed here. Might have to pull another all-nighter. Worry not at me, but Mark had this way of smoothing over any concern. Don't you stress, Cam. It's all for us, for our future. Just focus on you and the baby. I wanted to believe him, really did. But each "don't wait" up chipped away at something, leaving me tossing and turning, wondering if this was how it was supposed to be. One evening, as I sat alone, the house too big, too quiet, I dialed him up, needing to hear that reassurance. Mark, this ain't easy, you know. Feels like I'm doing this solo. He was quick to soothe. Cam, I'm doing what's gotta be done. Trust me, it'll all be worth it. You, me, and our little one, we'll have the world at our feet. I hung up, comforted yet unsettled. Mark's words were the balm to my worries, but deep down, a storm was brewing, one that whispered of change and challenged the promises of a shared future. One day I was lounging on the couch, flipping through a baby magazine, when the doorbell rang. Dragging myself up, I opened the door to find Alex, looking as serious as a judge. "Alex, what's the wind blowing you here for?" I greeted him, trying to keep the surprise out of my voice. "Needed to see you, Cam. We've got a situation," he said, stepping inside without waiting for an invite. His face had that look, the one he gets when it's more than just family catch-up time. We settled in the living room, me with my feet up and him straight as a rod on the chair across. "Spit it out, then. What's up?" "It's the business, Cam. The numbers are looking grim. What's going on over there?" Alex's voice had that edge to it, the one he used when he meant business. I sighed, rubbing my belly absent-mindedly. "Mark's been handling things. Said it's all good." "Good? Cam, it's far from good. Sales are down, deliveries are a mess. What's he been doing all this time?" Alex was getting worked up, his hands flying around as he spoke. I felt a pang of worry. "He told me he's got it under control. Said he's handling the big contracts himself." Alex leaned forward, his eyes boring into mine. "Look, I know you trust Mark, but something's off. We need to dig into this. You can't just sit back and watch." "Alright, I'll talk to him. But you know how he is, always soothing things over," I replied, feeling the weight of the world on my shoulders. Alex stood up, ready to leave. "Don't let him smooth talk you, Cam. We've worked too hard to let everything slide because of whatever this is." He was out the door before I could muster a goodbye. Dinner felt more like a chess game that evening. Mark was his usual self, all smiles and stories about his day at the office. I, on the other hand, had a storm brewing in my head, thanks to what Alex had dropped on me earlier. "So, everything's smooth at the company?" I ventured, poking at my food more than eating it. "Income steady? No hiccups?" Mark barely looked up from his plate. "Yeah, all good. Smooth sailing. You know, I even threw our name into the hat for that Best Executives in the City contest. We're killing it, babe." His confidence was like a slap of cold water. "Really? That's great," I managed to say, my voice as dry as toast. Inside, my doubts were doing somersaults. Alex's words echoed in my head, painting a very different picture. Later, as Mark hummed some tune in the shower, I found myself dialing John, my former deputy. My heart was thumping loud enough to drown out the ringtone. "John, it's me," I said, the moment he picked up. "I need the real scoop. How are things at the office?" There was a pause long enough for me to regret calling. Then John's voice, hesitant. "Cameron, you really should see for yourself. It's not. It's complicated." "Complicated how?" I pressed, feeling frustration bubble up. But John was a vault, only cracking enough to suggest I come in. Dragging myself out of bed felt like peeling away from my own shadow, thick and heavy with dread. Today wasn't just another day, it was the day I'd confront the mess at the office head-on. My hands trembled as I poured a cup of coffee, the black liquid mirroring the dark thoughts swirling in my head. "Morning, love." Mark's voice sliced through the silence of our kitchen, too cheerful, too oblivious. I forced a smile, my heart pounding against my chest like a drum. "Morning. Busy day ahead?" "Always, you know how it is. Big moves, big deals." He was full of it, puffing up like a rooster in a henhouse. I nodded, keeping my brewing storm hidden beneath a calm facade. I waited until Mark left the house, and then got into my car. The drive to the office was a blur. My grip on the steering wheel was tight, knuckles white as bone. The closer I got, the more the reality set in. This was it. The moment of truth. John was waiting for me, his face a map of worry lines. "Cameron, he greeted, his voice a low whisper, as if the walls themselves were eavesdropping. John, let's not beat around the bush. I want everything, every misplaced penny, every shady deal. It's time to clean house, I said, steeling myself against the tide that was about to break. He nodded, leading me into my office. The room felt foreign, like stepping into a stranger's life. It's bad, Cameron. Worse than we thought, he began, laying out the documents like a dealer at a crooked card game. As we pored over the numbers, the scale of the disaster unfolded. Mark's been playing fast and loose with the finances. And his team? A bunch of cronies clueless about our operations. They're bleeding us dry. John's voice was thick with disgust. Anger bubbled up inside me, a volcano ready to erupt. And the contracts? Tell me we haven't lost the Johnson account. John's silence was an answer louder than words. As the revelations about the company's state unfolded, John dropped another bombshell that cut deeper than the rest. Mark's hardly ever here, Cameron. Matter of fact, he ain't here now, he said, his voice a mix of frustration and disbelief. That piece of information hit me like a freight train. My mind raced as I pulled out my phone, dialing Mark's number. He picked up after a couple of rings, his voice echoing through the speaker. Hey, babe, what's up? Where are you? I asked, my voice steady, despite the storm brewing inside me. At the office, drowning in work. Where else would I be? He sounded casual, too casual. After hanging up, I turned to John, my resolve hardening. Don't mention this call to Mark. We play it cool until we figure out our next move. John nodded, understanding the gravity of the situation. What's the plan, boss? I took a deep breath, my mind working overtime. First, we secure our contracts. I'll reach out to the buyers, ask for a postponement where needed. We need to buy some time. After several days of sleepless nights and endless worries, the morning sun brought a grim determination. Today was the day I'd face whatever demons were lurking in the shadows of my company, of my marriage. I had arranged to meet with the private investigator I hired, someone John recommended discreetly. I found myself in a nondescript coffee shop, the kind where secrets are traded over cups of bitter brew. The PI, a gruff man with eyes that had seen too much, slid a manila envelope across the table to me. Everything you asked for is in there, he said, his voice gravelly, hinting at years of cigarettes and whiskey. I hesitated, my hand hovering over the envelope. And? I urged, needing to hear the words. He's been unfaithful, in more ways than one, the PI said, not one to sugarcoat the pill. Your husband's been playing house with someone from your company. Got the photos and everything. My heart sank, a mix of anger, betrayal, and an odd sense of vindication swirling inside. I had suspected, but hoping against hope I was wrong. Show me, I demanded, my voice stronger than I felt. He laid out the photographs like a deck of cards, each one a stab to my heart. Mark, and there she was, one of our own employees, laughing, touching, sharing moments that were supposed to be mine alone. I fought back the urge to cry, to scream. Instead, I focused on the rage, letting it fuel me. What else? I asked, my eyes not leaving the damning evidence. They've been careful, but not careful enough. Your husband's been funneling company funds too. Looks like they were planning a little getaway. The PI continued, his tone apologetic. That was the last straw. My company, my family's legacy, wasn't just a cash cow for Mark's little escapades. Thanks, I said curtly, sliding the envelope back towards me. I threw down some cash for the coffee, more than necessary, my mind racing. Back in my car, I allowed myself a moment. Just one moment of weakness where the tears could fall, where I could mourn the loss of the life I thought I had. But as the tears dried, resolve took their place. Mark and his mistress had underestimated me. They thought they could use me, my company, as their playground. They were wrong. I dialed John, my voice calm but ice cold. I need you to call a staff meeting. Tomorrow morning. Everyone must attend. No exceptions. John, ever my rock, didn't ask why. Consider it done, Cameron. The drive home was a blur, my mind occupied with plans and schemes. This wasn't just about revenge, it was about justice, about righting the wrongs done to me, to my company. Mark greeted me with a smile when I got home, oblivious to the storm brewing just beneath the surface. Hey, babe, long day? I forced a smile, playing the part one last time. You could say that. Dinner smells great. We ate in silence, or rather, he talked about his day, and I nodded along, my responses automatic. The whole time, my mind was elsewhere, plotting, planning. In the cool, fluorescent light of the conference room, the air was thick with tension. I stood at the front, papers in hand, my belly prominent, a visual reminder of the personal stakes involved. John, my loyal deputy, had helped me organize this crucial meeting. The room was filled to the brim with staff, and there, amidst them, sat Mark and his mistress, their faces masks of feigned innocence. Let's get straight to the point, I began, my voice steady, despite the storm raging inside. Under Mark's leadership, this branch has faced unprecedented losses. Contracts with key partners have been breached, directly impacting our bottom line. I clicked the remote, and the graphs on the screen painted a damning picture, 7 months of steady decline. I looked directly at Mark, who squirmed under my gaze. As a result, drastic measures are necessary. Effective immediately, I am terminating the employment of those who've contributed to this downfall. The room fell silent, the gravity of my words sinking in. I continued, Mark, you're fired, for gross mismanagement and breach of trust. Then, turning slightly, I addressed his mistress. And you, for consistent absenteeism and complicity in this debacle. And also for the affair with my husband. Whispers filled the room as the mistress, her face a portrait of shock and shame, gathered her things and fled, her secret laid bare for all to see. Mark stood, his face an alarming shade of red. Cameron, you can't do this. Think about what you're doing. I met his plea with a cold stare. I have thought about it, Mark. At great length. This is the only course of action that protects the future of this company, and our child. As the meeting adjourned, staff members approached me, their expressions a mix of relief and gratitude. We're behind you, Cameron. It's good to have you back, they said, their support a balm to my frayed nerves. Mark tried to corner me as I was leaving the room. Cameron, please, let's talk about this. We can fix it. There's nothing left to discuss, Mark. You've made your choices, I replied, handing him the envelope I'd been clutching throughout the meeting. Inside were the divorce papers, already signed. His hands trembled as he took the envelope, the reality of his situation finally dawning on him. But, Cameron, No, Mark. It's over. You need to leave. Now. My voice was firm, brooking no argument. The dust had settled, the air was clear, and the wreckage of what once was lay bare before me. The company, my sanctuary, had been through a storm, but now it was time to rebuild, to restore what was lost. The morning after the revelation, I walked into the office with a different stride, one of determination and resolve. John was already there, paperwork spread out like a battle map. He looked up as I entered, a knowing nod passing between us. Morning, Cameron. Ready to start fresh? John's voice held a mix of encouragement and the weight of the tasks ahead. I set my bag down, rolling up my sleeves. Let's get to it. We've got a mountain to climb. The first order of business was damage control. We reached out to our clients, the ones who were on the brink of walking away. I took the lead, my tone earnest, apologetic yet hopeful. Listen, I know we've dropped the ball. But I'm back in the saddle, and I'm here to make things right. I said over the phone to one of our largest clients, Mr. Thompson, not related, just a coincidence. He was hesitant, understandably so. Cameron, your company used to be top-notch. But what's happened recently? I cut in. I understand, and I'm not here to make excuses. I'm here to offer solutions. Give us a chance to prove that we're still the company you trusted." After what felt like an eternity, he sighed. "All right, Cameron. We'll give you one more shot. Don't let us down." One by one, the conversations went on, each a delicate dance of negotiation and reassurance. The relief that followed each retained client was palpable, a balm to the open wounds of betrayal. John and I then turned our attention to the team. The office was quieter now, the air missing the familiar buzz of productivity. The employees that remained were uncertain, their faith shaken. "I know you've all been through a lot," I addressed the gathered team, my voice echoing slightly in the half-empty office. "And I can't undo what's been done. But I can promise you this, we're going to come back from this stronger than ever." Murmurs of agreement filled the room, a flicker of hope igniting in their eyes. "We're going back to basics, focusing on what made us great. And it's going to take all of us, pulling together, to get there," I continued, my gaze meeting each of theirs. The team rallied, the sense of purpose rekindled. We dove into work, the days blurring into nights as we charted our course back to stability and growth. My baby boy, Lucas, became the new center of my universe the moment he arrived. Deciding to work remotely was the best decision for us both, keeping the balance between being a new mom and steering my company back to success. Alex, my rock through all this turmoil, started showing up more often. Not just for business, but to be there for me, for Lucas. "Sis, you're not alone in this. We're a team, remember?" He'd remind me every time he stepped through my door, groceries in one hand, toys for Lucas in the other. The divorce from Mark was a clean cut, much needed. The court didn't just grant me the divorce, they made sure Mark paid up for his deceit. Every penny he took from the company, every heartache he caused, he had to compensate. "I'm sorry, Cameron. I truly am," he pleaded, trying to salvage whatever he could. But my mind was made up. "Lucas needs a role model, not a reminder of betrayal," I told him, closing that chapter of my life for good. Adjusting to life as a single mom wasn't without its challenges, but with a nanny's help, I found a new rhythm. Working half-days meant I could dedicate my mornings to Lucas and my afternoons to the company. This balance brought a sense of peace and purpose I hadn't felt in a long time. Trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. I learned that the hard way. "John, we're tightening the ship. No more blind faith," I told my deputy over one of our many video calls. "Every decision runs through me, clear?" "Crystal, Cameron. You've got this," John assured me, his loyalty never wavering. The company wasn't just surviving, it was thriving, growing in ways I hadn't imagined possible in the wake of such betrayal. As the seasons changed, so did the chapter of my life. Sitting in the office that once felt like a battleground, it was now a place of peace, growth, and new beginnings. The latest gossip around the water cooler wasn't about market shares or business deals, but rather the poetic justice life had served my ex-husband's mistress. Abandoned and divorced, her tale was a stark reminder of karma's long memory. The phone buzzed occasionally, Mark's name flashing on the screen, each call more desperate than the last, seeking forgiveness or perhaps a way back into the life he'd betrayed. With each attempt, my resolve only strengthened, culminating in the moment I hit block, severing the last tie to a past best left behind. Lucas, with his boundless energy and laughter, filled the apartment with a light so bright it overshadowed any remnants of darkness from those tumultuous times. Each day with him was a gift, a new adventure, a chance to shape a future defined by love, integrity, and the lessons learned from the hardships we'd faced. Alex dropped by more often, each visit bringing not just his presence, but a reinforcement of the bond we shared, a bond that had weathered storms and emerged unbreakable. "You're doing amazing, sis. This little guy is lucky to have you," he'd say, ruffling Lucas's hair, earning a giggle in response. "Yeah, we're doing just fine, aren't we, buddy?" I'd respond, looking down at Lucas with a heart so full it felt like it might burst. The business was not just surviving, it was thriving. With Alex and John at my side, we navigated the challenges with a newfound determination, turning obstacles into opportunities for growth. As I watched my son sleep, the quiet of the night enveloping us, I whispered a promise into the darkness, a vow to always move forward, to face each day with courage, and to never lose sight of the joy and love that now filled my life.